semiconductor tariff that you posted on True Social today. What is the timeline for that? And I believe it was Jameson Greer said today that those will not be negotiable. Once those tariffs are in place, they're not negotiable. Is that right?
But the tariffs will be in place in the not distant future because, as you know, like we did with steel, like we did with automobiles, like we did with aluminum, which are now fully on, we'll be doing that with semiconductors, with chips, and numerous other things. And that'll take place in the very near future.
And all the things.
And what we did is we want to uncomplicate it from a lot of companies because that's really where it should be, ideally. And we wanted to uncomplicate it from a lot of other companies because we want to make our chips and semiconductors and other things in our country. And I will tell you, another one is pharmaceuticals, drugs and pharmaceuticals. We want to make our drugs in this country. And by placing a tariff on the companies that are not in this country, they're going to move into our country and we're going to have our drugs made in the United States. So that in case of war, in case of whatever, we're not relying on China and various other countries to supply us with drugs, which is not a good idea. And it'll happen very fast.
Do you have a reaction to Russia's Palm Sunday attack on Ukraine?
I think it was terrible, and I was told they made a mistake, but I think it's a horrible thing. I think the whole war is a horrible thing. I think the war is, for that war to have started, is an abuse of power. This country would have never allowed that war to have started if I were president. That war is a shame. Millions of people are dead that should be alive. Cities are being destroyed all over Ukraine. The whole culture is gone. Or certainly very severely hurt. You know, the chapels, the churches, the spirals, all of the things that they had in Ukraine were among the most beautiful anywhere in the world. And most of them are knocked down and blown up into a million pieces. But most importantly, you have millions of people dead that shouldn't be dead. Think of it. Think of what a rigged election means. We would have had we wouldn't have had the war in Ukraine. We wouldn't have had the Russia-Ukraine situation. We wouldn't have had October 7th, Israel, the Middle East. We wouldn't have had inflation. We wouldn't have had the most embarrassing day or period in the history of our country. This is Biden's war. This is not my war. I've been here for a very short period of time. This is a war that was under Biden. He gave him billions and billions of dollars. He should have never allowed, if he had any brain, which he didn't have and doesn't have, and now it's being proven, he wouldn't have allowed that war to start. I would have absolutely not. That war would never have taken place. But remember this is Biden's war. I'm just trying to get it stopped so that we can save a lot of lives. They happen to be Ukrainian and Russian lives. But all I want to do is get it stopped.
Witkoff, sir, did you meet with Mr. Witkoff today?
I did. I met with him, and he had some very good meetings on the Middle East, and he also had good meetings having to do with Russia, Ukraine.
Can you give us an update on Iran?
Well, we're going to be doing it very shortly. Iran also. It was another way. I met with a different group of people in Iran, and we'll be making a decision on Iran very quickly. Yeah, please.
Back on Russia, Ukraine, resolving that war has taken a little longer than you predicted. Can you pinpoint the reasons why?
It's a deeply seated war. And again, it's a war that people didn't expect would start. And in my administration, there was no chance that it would start. And it didn't, by the way. You know, I went 4 years and it didn't start. People say, oh, well, how do you know? Well, I know because I went 4 years and it didn't start. You would have never had that war. It would have never started. Putin never would have started it. I mean, I think, frankly, he had so little respect for Biden that he started it for that reason. And obviously, he didn't get along very well with Zelensky or anybody else. And now you have millions of dead people. And those people, every one of them should be alive right now.
Mr. President, are you going to announce tariffs on things like iPhones, tablets?
Well, that's going to be announced very soon, and we'll be discussing it. But we'll also talk to companies. You know, you have to show a certain flexibility. Nobody should be so rigid. You have to have a certain flexibility. And we're doing really well, and financially our country is going to be stronger than it's ever been.
So some products there's flexibility for some products?
For some products, yeah, maybe.